Hi, I'm Shelley Wood and this is my tiny sewing room where I make doll clothes sewing videos. Today I'm going to show you how to make a hoodie with a front pocket to fit your average 10-inch fashion dolls like Skipper and other similar sized dolls. Before we begin, please go to shelleywood.com to download this free printable PDF sewing pattern. Use your pattern to cut out these 8 pieces from solid colored jersey fabrics and use the same pattern to cut out these 8 pieces from a print fabric. You'll also need some bias tape, either 1/2 inch unfolded or a 1/4 inch folded bias tape. Lay one of the pockets on top of another, keeping right sides together. Stitch the 2 pockets together along all sides except for the very top. Clip all of your seams so far, like you see me doing in this next little video. Invert the pocket. Now, I like to use a chopstick to help me invert, especially tiny doll clothes. Give it a little twist to poke out the corners very gently, like you see me doing right here. See how I twist it a little? Now your pocket should look like this on one side and like this on the other side. Push the raw fabric in between the opening at the top, just like you see me doing here. You want to get rid of all those frayed edges down inside. Whip stitch to seal this closed. If you need help with a whip stitch, I do have a tutorial for that. Just look in the description below this YouTube video. Now your pocket should look like this. Pin it to the solid fabric front, 3/4 of an inch from the raw edge at the bottom, which is 1.7 centimeters from the edge in metric terms. You'll want to leave about 1.5 centimeters or maybe a little less than 5/8 inch at the sides of the pocket. Stitch along the top and bottom of the pocket and at a 90-degree angle up from the bottom on both sides. Remove the straight pin from your pocket. Now we're going to work with our back pieces. Lay one back on top of another, keeping right sides together. Stitch around the back closure area and the very bottom. Follow these directions for both back pieces. Clip your seams and those tiny corners. Invert both backs. Press your seams. Lay one front piece on top of another, keeping right sides together. Make note of where the pocket is in that photo. Make a very small stitch at the midpoint of the neck. Clip at each side of the center seam. And that's what I'm doing here very carefully. Invert the front. Press this tiny seam. Lay one of the backs on top of the front, keeping those right sides or outer fabrics together. Stitch across the shoulder area. Follow the same directions for the other back. Open the garment up like this and press those shoulder seams. Let's work with the sleeves now. Lay one sleeve on top of another, keeping right sides together. Stitch across that cuff area. Open the sleeve up like this and press the seam flat. Fold it back like so and press that seam again. Do this with both sleeves. Now, with the outer fabric showing, lay one sleeve down on top with right sides together and stitch the sleeve to the armhole area from the underarm to just shy of the shoulder seam. Now hold the other underarm side of the sleeve and pull it around to join the other underarm part of the body of the bodice. Have a look at this video clip for clarity, because this can be tricky. So you just, what I'm doing here is I'm trying to align the two sides of the sleeve fabrics. See how I'm doing that? I want to make sure they're lined up good. And then I connect it to the other underarm. And I begin a stitch right at the underarm. Sew from this underarm to just shy of the shoulder seam again. Now there should be an opening at the shoulder. If you didn't cut your fabrics exactly right, there might not be much of an opening, and that's okay. If you have as much as I do though, what we're going to want to do next is gather that sleeve fabric as needed. And then to close the gap at the shoulder, you'll want to stitch the gathered part of the sleeve to the shoulder area. I'm using a backstitch for this, but like I said, you might not have much to gather there. Now your garment looks like this on one side and like this on the other side. Follow the same directions to sew that other sleeve. And here's another look at what we would have then after attaching the second sleeve. Fold one of your sleeves in half at the shoulder like this, keeping right sides together, and then sew from the sleeve cuff to the underarm, and then down from the underarm just part way down the side. You don't want to go all the way down. Follow these directions for both sides, and now your garment looks like this. Take the raw fabric at the bottom of the front and tuck it in between the two front pieces, just like you see me doing right here. So I'm going to just push those raw edges down inside between the two fabrics and make sure that it matches up with the length of the back. Whip stitch along the fold to hem, and now we just need to finish stitching those sides. Stitch the sides shut on both sides of the hoodie. Now we still need to work with the hood. Gather the bottom of the solid fabric hood. Measure the gathers against the garment's neckline. Adjust gathers as needed while pinning the hood from the sewn part of the front of the neckline to the back closure area. Keep a slight overhanging seam allowance both at the front where the neck was sewn and in the back where the closure area is. Stitch the hood to the neckline. Follow the same directions for both solid hoods. Lift up the hood like this to make sure that it looks right, and then join the hoods at the top, just like you see me doing here. Okay, we're going to sew that part right there at the top. Note the extension where my thumb is in this picture. We won't be sewing that part together just yet, so keep that in mind. But you do sew the hoods together from the front to just past the tiny notch, but don't sew that extension. Now we need the printed hoods. Lay one on top of the other with right sides together. Note where the extension is for these. Again, you won't want to sew that part. Sew from the front of this hood to the area just past the notch once again. Clip the solid hood seam and then clip the print hood seam, and that's what I'm doing here. Make note of where I'm clipping. Invert and press these seams. Open the print hood up like this. Place it over the top of the other hood, aligning the seams that would become the front of the hood. There we go. Pin in place, keeping those seams aligned. Here's another angle to make sure you understand. Stitch where you've pinned along the hood's front. I'm using a backstitch for this. Once you're done, clip your seams. Invert the hood. Gather the bottom of the print fabric hood. Do this on both sides of the printed hood. Make sure the hood lengths will match once you're done. So here I am showing you what we've got so far, and then I've got this one side gathered. Alright, pulling my gathers. And then I like to check it against, is it going to match up with the other solid hood in terms of the gather length? That's really key. Work with the hood extended like this. We'll be attaching some bias tape to it. Fold the raw end of the bias tape like this. Fold the bias tape over the gathered part of your hood. Whip stitch the bias tape in place. When you reach the hood's back closure area, just cut the bias tape free. You don't need to fold it. Follow the same directions for both of your print hoods. Slide the printed lining inside the hood like you see here. Pull it through to the back closure area. Push the sleeves out with your chopstick, just like you see me doing here. Now we just need to close off the hood's back area. See those raw fabric edges where it's fraying? Tuck the raw edges of the extensions between the print and solid fabric hood sections. Okay, so here's my extension. I fold it in. Just like that. And then I grab the print and I fold it in so that the two extension pieces can be joined together. Just like that. Whip stitch around the edge of the hood's extension all the way from the bias tape to the top of the hood. And when you get to the top of the extension, you need to fold that top piece in too. And then whip stitch the top corner closed. Follow the same steps for the other extension, so you get both extensions, and then attach the bias tape along the neckline using another whip stitch. Here's a close-up. Here we're looking at the back of the hoodie, so this can look kind of confusing. We're going to close the back of the hoodie with a line of snaps. And now you're ready to try it on your doll. For more free printable sewing patterns for dolls of many shapes and all different sizes, please remember to visit my website, shelleywood.com.
Hi, I'm Shelley Wood, and this is my tiny sewing room where I make doll clothes sewing videos. You guys have inspired a lot of the doll clothes that I have designed, the free patterns that are available at shelleywood.com. But my list of requests is becoming huge. So it's time for me to offer a course where I teach you the 3 easy methods that I use to design doll clothes patterns. If you're curious about my class, I recommend that you go to creativespark.ctpub.com, where you can sign up for their newsletter. That's the platform I'll be using for my paid courses. If you enjoy my free tutorials, wait till you see what I'm creating for Creative Spark. I look forward to creating amazing patterns with you.